All right, so this is Peggy Moore with Aspen University. This is our parallel counseling, process and supervision counseling session. And this is Gail Wells. She is a licensed
clinical social worker,
and she is gonna play my supervisor in this video.
Okay.
So I have a client who I've been working with on a regular basis, who basically sees me, she's had a lot of things happen in her life, but her main thing that she wants help with is getting her eating under control and losing weight and feeling better about herself. She had a bad breakup relationship over this past year, and so we've been working through this. And every time, my problem is every time we get together, she's very good at I love working with these super educated people who are like, these are what I want my interventions to be, and this is what I want, you know, and they tell me exactly what they want me to do, and I'm like, okay, you know, and I do this, and then the next thing they're like, well, I couldn't do it because of this, I couldn't do it because of this, I couldn't do it because of this, and I couldn't do it because of this. And as a counselor or a coach, I think some of their things are unreasonable. I feel like maybe
what do you mean by unreasonable?
Well, you're not going to be perfect. You know what I mean? So expecting yourself to be perfect, and if you do one thing wrong, then you fell off the bandwagon, then you can just forget everything, is not a reasonable expectation, I don't think.
So let me get this straight. So she comes in eager, she knows what needs to happen. You guys agree on a plan, right? And then the week goes by and she may not follow through on everything, and because she makes one error, maybe one day overeats or, you know, falls off the eating plan,
right,
that she just pitches it all because she holds herself to perfect all or nothing at all.
Yes, absolutely, which I totally can understand. So yeah, I can totally relate to that.
Tell me more about that.
Tell you more about that. Well, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but I'm working on that. So
you think maybe that's why you identified her issue as being perfectionism? Is it possible it could be something else?
It could be. I mean, I think that's a good thing to think about, and that's why I've tried to talk to her about, let's step back and make some more realistic kind of goals. Her goals are like, this is my eating plan, have a shake in the morning, a shake at lunch, have a sensible dinner, you know, no snacks, nothing else, never eat past 7 o'clock, which are all great goals, and, you know, go 5 or 6 miles 3 or 4 times a week, but no slack in there. And if ever she doesn't meet those goals, she might avoid my calls. She does that too.
Absolutely.
Like she has not, I don't think we've met in probably 6 weeks. She keeps saying we need to meet, and I keep saying, well, let's calendar this. Very much avoidance. I'm doing actually a group of women that were together working on these similar issues. Let's get, you know, lose this COVID weight and get back to where we need to be. And she was doing great. She said this was
with the group.
She said this was great, but she just fell off the wagon. I think those are her words, a couple weeks ago, and crickets. Except for, you know, we need to get together and chat. I'm like, okay, what day works for you?
Got it.
But my biggest issue is how to hold her accountable. Like how do you,
Well, is it, okay, so tell me more about this accountability that you...
So this is why. So we have a working Google sheet where when we talk, I like to do solution focused therapy. So what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do this week? Let's talk about 3 different concrete things that you can do this week that are SMART goals that next week what can I ask you about next week to know that you were able to accomplish some of your goals this week. And so
she's very structured.
Yeah, I'm a very structured person. Okay. I will admit to that.
Okay.
So we write those down, and the next week we discuss those.
Okay. So is there anything in that plan? I'm just curious because especially working in addiction, when we think about relapse as part of the healing process, right? In some cases, um, has there been any discussion or strategies about what to do when you fall off?
There has not.
So the expectation is, yeah, you will fall off. And if and when that happens, what are the steps that we'll take
Okay.
that we'll agree on to get back?
Back.
Yeah.
What if
Or
they're,
not.
well, I'll get back on tomorrow, and then tomorrow.
No, 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 no. So even if you get back on tomorrow,
Okay.
what would have to happen in order to make that happen?
Okay.
In other words, okay, so I fall off today. I feel shame. So you may talk about process the feelings about falling off, right? So
Oh,
the
that's good,
shame, the guilt, then the avoidant behavior, and so kind of normalizing that a little bit, maybe, and then say, okay, so when that happens, what are some of the things that you think would be helpful to bring you back around, to get you back on? And it may be as simple as just popping back on, but you know, you may need to do something else.
Okay.
You may need to journal about it. You may need to call me. You may need a lifeline before, like in AA they say call your sponsor.
Yeah, that's true.
Before you pick up the drink, right? So is there a contingency plan for when you fall off, or some prevention piece,
Okay.
or what to do when you do?
Those are good. Because I don't think we've covered that. We have talked about journaling, which she doesn't like to do.
Then the journaling isn't it.
And yeah.
Maybe
so-
it's just going for a long walk. Maybe it's, making a commitment to call you.
Okay. Yeah, she's
There
a
has
single
to be
mom.
something
yeah.
that she has to agree to do.
Yeah. Okay. And that she decides, right?
That she decides, and
Right.
that it's not, from what I understand of avoidant behavior, sometimes it's very much based in shame and
Yeah,
embarrassment.
that's a good point. Yeah.
So, maybe I don't know.
Talking about that. Yeah, no, I think that's good. In my group, so this group I kind of coach a little bit too. And last week when I had 2 or 3 of them be like, I don't want to wait, and this has been we've been doing this we did a 6 weeks one, and this is our second 6 weeks, and I think we're on week 3. And I had like 3 of them were just like, I don't want to wait, I don't want to see a plus by my name. And I weighed in and I had to have a plus by my name. And I'm like, and my thing was, you just got to own it. Like, this is number one, weight loss or any goal I don't feel is totally linear. Right? Even overcoming addiction is not linear. Every day is not perfect. It doesn't go 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. It's a little bit of a...
Yeah, but so do you see how, so is there something in the approach with her
Right.
that you have with her that may be impeding that process?
That's what I have to figure out. Because she's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So is there something that you could do different?
Right. That's what I need to figure out.
Yeah, so, or the way you described it was, we have these SMART goals.
Right.
And we have it set up.
Right.
But she doesn't leave any wiggle room.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like...
Like, I give her any wiggle room? I'm not a good wiggle room person.
And so on one hand, it feels very intellectual when you say, I know that the goal isn't straight and linear.
Okay.
Like, I hear you saying that.
Right.
But there's something in the way that I'm receiving that doesn't feel like it's an internalized thing.
Okay.
And the reason I'd say that is because there's no talking about how to get back on the wagon.
Get to back around.
That you will fall off the wagon, and that's okay. We do have these goals, and yeah, we'll talk about them next week. But the talking about it next week is just to support you. It's not to beat you.
Right.
It's not a.
Okay.
And I understand you like structure.
Well, and
we'll
what
do structure?
Right. And so, what do you do with like all the and I'm gonna say excuses, which sounds really bad. You're really learning my personality, aren't you? But like, so this goes wrong, and that goes wrong, and this goes wrong. I mean, right now life is crazy, right? We just started back in school. We got all the COVID issues. She's one of the ET people, so she's being called all the time.
Yeah.
She's a single mom, so she has a little. So there's all these excuses.
They're not excuses. They're reasons.
Okay, reasons.
They are reasons.
They are reasons.
And
Okay.
so given all of that, those may be all valid reasons, but what does that have to do with
Well,
your eating?
right.
Like your diet,
Yeah.
or the things that you commit to taking care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself,
then you can't do all those things.
then how can you take care of other people effectively? Those are reasons. I mean, those
Right.
are all legitimate
So
reasons.
don't call them excuses,
Well, if you call them excuses,
right?
does that open up the dialogue or does that shut it down?
I guess it shuts it down. That's a good excuse. I mean, I get that. So these are reasons.
And then they're her reasons.
Right. And we all have reasons, right? Oh, maybe I'm not going to be a good counselor after all.
Well,
I don't think this way.
Okay. That's okay. You're learning.
I'm learning, that's for sure.
So how does it feel? I mean,
Stressful.
So tell me, what's the stress?
Well, just
why
because
do you experience stress?
I think very linear. It's really hard for me to think outside of the box. Like when I want to think outside of the box for my business or to create something, it takes really a lot of process. I have to really concentrate, look at different ideas, and I have to kind of settle in myself to let ideas flow.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Got it. So here's what I offer you.
Okay.
It's just an opportunity so think about this as a gift. This client is offering you a gift to learn a new skill, to take your game to the next level. And it just feels uncomfortable.
Okay. Because change feels uncomfortable.
And so, have some empathy for yourself and learning a new way of being. And then maybe that may get communicated to your client.
Okay.
Because change happens within the context of a safe and loving relationship.
That's good.
It could.
Good.
Yeah.
So I just need to become more. I'm getting better at being fluffy. I'm not.
Is it fluffy?
I'm not,
Well, you know what? Here.
not fluffy, but I'm just very. Like I have this at school. I'm very direct, and I have to really, as a critical care nurse, you can be very direct. It's life or death. I don't have time to, be fluff. Well, it's totally different as a school nurse.
But does it have to be fluff? Can it be? Is there a way for you to think about it that fits your paradigm? And
compassion.
Compassion.
There
you go.
And empathy.
Yeah, it can just be compassion. It can be thought of, like, I think of it as a tool or like an instrument. It's not necessarily that I have to change my personality, but I have to employ a different strategy.
Okay.
So, I mean, when you name it fluff, warm and fluffy and that, I can see where that would leave you feeling really vulnerable and maybe a little disempowered. Not that that's true, but
Yeah.
I mean, if it goes against your natural way of being. So, again, trying to think of a way to incorporate this information to fit your paradigm.
Like better communication skills.
Yeah, maybe better communication skills or, yeah, getting the job done. Since you're like, you're
Yes,
going to get the
yes,
job done.
yes.
So if getting the job done means I'll ask her about how to get back on the wagon, how to make room for that, right,
Okay.
to happen. That's not warm and fuzzy. That's pretty
Okay.
direct. How does that feel?
Better
Hmm.
skills.
Does it feel, so when you say better, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, I think it's something I can practice.
Okay.
I think it's something I can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is something I need to practice.
There you go.
All right, we're turning this off now.